Hi, my name is Phil. I like talking about politics. In this video, I'd like to return to the question of who will be coordinating Brexit now that the government's Brexit department has shut down. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, the Department for Exiting the European Union, or the Brexit Department as more commonly known, was closed down on January the 31st and its minister out of a job. Possibly temporarily, as there's a reshuffle of cabinet next week. Now, the reason for this was not that the department wasn't needed, but simply because Boris Johnson doesn't want to refer to Brexit and he doesn't want other people referring to Brexit anymore. He doesn't want people linking the harm that Brexit is going to cause on leaving the transition period with Brexit itself. He wants to be able to blame it on something else and preferably someone else. But the department's purpose was to coordinate everything to do with Brexit. That is the process of leaving the EU, which included coordinating post-Brexit legislation and replacing treaties lost with our EU membership. Neither of these things has been completed yet. In fact, far from being done, Brexit has only just begun. To suggest that it's now finished is to suggest that a 100-metre race is finished the second the starting pistol goes off. It takes at least 10 seconds for that to finish. Now, questions were being asked last month as to which minister will be in charge of coordinating negotiations, as well as interdepartmental cooperation on Brexit matters from this month. And I wondered at the time if Michael Gove might do it, as he doesn't have a real job in cabinet anyway, he's just sort of there. But no announcements were made, and here we are, no longer members of the EU, and have been this case for a week now, and still not a word about who is in charge. And so the Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, was asked in the comments. This is the same Dominic Raab who was briefly the Brexit Secretary himself when it had to be pointed out to him that we live on an island. Now, the MP asking the question was Labour's Hilary Benn. And he noted that the Prime Minister had said that the powers still required of the department had already been transferred elsewhere with the closure of that Brexit department. So the question was asked, which department and which minister has responsibility for the negotiations with the EU? I mean, he could have asked questions about any number of other important roles for that department that still need to be carried out, including negotiating with, oh, by the way, the whole rest of the world while we're at it. In response, Dominic Raab was not able to respond. He actually said they will be integrated. Will be integrated isn't the same thing as having already been integrated. So the Prime Minister is saying one thing and the Foreign Secretary is saying another. And it isn't just the inconsistency. The responsibilities should have been transferred. That should have already taken place. We're supposed to be getting on with post-Brexit negotiations right now. That means we need a minister to be in charge of them. Civil servants can't carry out such work without policy aims given by their minister. I mean to say, we wouldn't want unelected bureaucrats taking charge of these things, would we now? So if there aren't any officials carrying out the preparations for negotiations, much less the negotiations themselves, then the question has to be asked, why not? Not only were we promised swift action after Brexit Day, but we need it. And it just highlights again for me, yet again, how Boris Johnson never plans anything. He acts purely on impulse. Details are for someone else to sort out. He chose to back leave because he felt it gave him the best chance of becoming Prime Minister. He was appointed Prime Minister last year on a ticket of a very hard Brexit, promising a harder Brexit than any of his other leadership rivals. So he pursued that path. He closed down the Brexit department because he wants to stop people talking about Brexit. But never a thought for the work that needs doing and who should do it. If anything, if a government was actually wanting to make the best of Brexit for Britain, they'd actually be expanding the department, not closing it down. Its workload just got a whole lot bigger. Its role was arranging a withdrawal agreement with the EU and copy-pasting existing agreements with countries around the world. After 3 years, it managed the withdrawal agreement and 20 copy-pasted trade agreements. Now it needs to negotiate a permanent treaty with the EU covering a whole range of services and trade, and that's much more complex than the withdrawal. It also needs to coordinate the negotiating of hundreds of treaties with every other country on earth. Or someone does, because the Brexit department no longer exists. But nobody is doing it, because nobody is being appointed. So I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then please click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.